I can tell you it's extremely disappointing for me, for Kyle, for ownership, for everybody in here, because we care a lot about Reuben. And I can tell you that it was a situation where we laid out some very specific ground rules for Reuben, as we do for all our players. We had a set of standards in place that the players were involved with in developing. In this case, it was communicated exceptionally clear and to the point as to what we expected out of them. And unfortunately, what transpired yesterday, this isn't a comment on what happened there, because that would be mere speculation on our part. It's more of a comment on him not living up to what we had communicated and to the energy and the time that we've invested into him. That doesn't mean we don't love him. We all do. We care for him, but we feel like it's in the best interest of our organization to move on at this point, and that's a very tough decision. I want to be clear that this is an organizational decision. This is, Kyle and I talked last night. We brought it to ownership, and we were all lockstep in the decision. It was not easy on anybody, and with that, I'll open it up for some questions.
By saying the standard, are you saying that you didn't want him associating with a certain person?
Listen, Matt, I don't want to get into what the specifics of that, but I will say, after the events of the off season, we were very clear with him, and I think very fair, and he understood exactly what that was. And, the really sad thing is he had shown some, of late in particular, he was really taking some very positive steps and maturing in a really nice fashion. Unfortunately, in life, there's consequences for your actions, and when you show bad judgment, particularly after something's been communicated very clearly what the expectations are, there are consequences. And I think one lesson I've learned being around this league for almost 30 years now in different capacities is that nobody is bigger than the team, and that's ultimately what this decision came down to for us.
What kind of communication did you have with him yesterday, John?
Unfortunately, I haven't. I was at dinner when this all transpired. At that point, it was in the hands of the police department, and as of right now, he's still not out, and so I have yet to be able to speak to Reuben. I will, and look forward to that. Like I said, I care about the kid and care about his future, and that goes not only for me, for everybody in there.
When you drafted him, you knew that there were off-field risks with him. You've acknowledged that.
Yeah.
Do you regret making that choice?
I don't. I think we learn from it. You have to learn from every situation. Ultimately, these guys are human beings, and they're young men, and they're fallible. And I think one thing we have to do, we have to learn from the process, and we have, and we will. But at the same thing, you can't play scared. You gotta trust your evaluations, and remember back to, and I'm not making an excuse, but we sit in these draft meetings, and there's a lot of information that comes out on these kids. As I said, they're fallible. His wasn't nearly as bad as a lot of them, and ultimately we have to own it, and I own it. But I think most of all, it's just disappointment. Today we have a game to play, and our guys, I think, are in a good frame of mind to go do that, and excited to watch this game.
John, why was she allowed into that in the first place?
Well, I don't know if that's accurate that she was allowed. I mean, these hotels, Matt, we are highly secured on our 2 floors. We have 2 floors in each hotel, sometimes 3. Those floors are heavily secured, and as are the areas, our meeting rooms and the meal areas. And so those are always, but these are public places. We don't go in and take an entire hotel over. Players are always able to get hotel rooms for friends, family, and we'll just leave it at that without any more specifics.
You're saying that the incident occurred in an area apart from those secured?
Yeah, to my understanding, yes. It was not on our floors. I can say that unequivocally.
John, you guys stood by Reuben through some other things. You get to this point and make decisions before the legal process plays out this thing. Is it just a function of trust is gone? Is it as simple as that?
Well, like I said, I mean, prior to that last instance, we had communicated with Reuben. We had invested a lot of energy and resources into him. We did so even more so after. We stuck by him for a reason, and I think you know that was you know, fortunately he was able to come back to us. And unfortunately, yesterday, what transpired, he I know one of our tenets is protect the team. He didn't protect the team, and like I said, nobody's bigger than the team. And as talented a player as he was, as many positive steps as he was making, we felt like this was the best decision to make.
How was the team made aware of this? Did you address the team? Did Kyle address? How did that take place?
Well, a lot of this, you know, we first got wind at some time last night, but meetings were over and all that. So the team was addressed in the locker room today. And, you know, we're going to go play a game, and you know, Kyle can choose to or not choose to speak further on that.
John, up until last night, has Reuben had any other missteps, you know, during this regular season?
He's been doing a really good job, Eric. You know, he really has. You know, I mentioned the progress he's been making. He has in a lot of areas of his life, and unfortunately, yesterday showed extremely poor judgment, and you know, for that we made this decision.
All right.
John,
Thank you.
Thank you, John.